Hey, so it's been a little while, it's been a couple months. I actually have a lot that I want to talk about, but for right now, I just want to talk about one thing, and that is how the left wants the judiciary to have total control of the government. Um, Now, if you've been aware of, you know, uh, things in politics for the past decade or so, you will have heard of Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade was a court case that essentially found that uh, women have a right to abortion. However, you can't have a court case that declares something to be a right. You need to have legislation that creates a right. You need to have an amendment to the Constitution if you want something to be guaranteed as a right. So, what the left was doing was using the judiciary in place of actual executive or legislative function, which is not how things are supposed to work. Now, one thing that you'll notice is that with all the deportations that have been going on, the left has been saying that every single illegal immigrant needs a court case, a court hearing, in order to determine whether they stay or leave, which is ridiculous. First off, the law does not say that illegal immigrants are entitled to a court hearing. It says they are entitled to due process. That is not the same thing. Due process just means the process that is required for the situation. Now, if they were entitled to a court hearing, much like how in the Constitution it says that American citizens are entitled to a trial by jury, it specifies that. It says trial by jury. The immigration law does not specify that. It says due process. Now, in these illegal immigrant cases, due process is simply making sure that someone is here illegally, someone is not supposed to be here, making sure you know where that person is supposed to go, and sending them back. That is the due process. I know you probably don't want to hear that, but that's all that's required. That is the due process. There is no need for a court hearing. What would a court do? A court would just hinder the process of deportation. We need to deport these people because they do not belong here. A court hearing would hinder that process. That is an executive function, by the way. That is part of the executive branch. That is a function of the executive branch. So, really, having the judiciary involved would be the breakdown of the separation of powers. And, of course, we know for a fact that the left has stacked the courts. The left has infiltrated the court system with leftist activists, and they often rig the juries as well. We have seen this in the Derek Chauvin case. They gave very, very biased jury instructions. It was very unethical. Now, so a jury will not, a court will not add anything positive to the process of deportation. A court hearing will only interfere with the actual process of deportation. So the reason why leftists are calling for this is because they know that if they get the judiciary involved, they will be able to halt deportations. That's the only reason why they say that they want court hearings for these illegal immigrants. But due process is to deport them. Due process has nothing to do with a court hearing for people who do not belong here. And, you know, the left is going to continue to try to do these things. They're going to continue to try to use court cases in place of actual legislation. They are going to continue trying to enforce rights that are not rights by court cases. And they are going to continue to persecute people using the court system, because this is what they do. I wish I had a solution here to fix that. Unfortunately I don't know what to do to solve this problem. All I really can say is that we need to focus on basically rejecting these court cases that try to institute rights. And if you've paid attention, there have been district courts that have been trying to make unilateral nationwide decisions involving the deportations. And the Supreme Court has already said, you can't do that, because you are a district court. You are not a federal court. A federal court could actually say, hey, we need to put a halt on the deportations. However, if they wanted it to be permanent, they would have to go through legislation. And, of course, this would be legislating the executive branch. This is how checks and balances work. Checks and balances is not a single court can decide to completely override the due process of deportation. Now, you may feel sympathy for illegal immigrants. That's fine. These are human beings. It's okay to be empathetic towards them. But we have tens of millions of them in our country. We are being crippled by these people. They don't pay taxes. People spread lies saying that illegal immigrants pay taxes. They do not pay taxes. You have to be documented in order to pay taxes. The IRS has to know that you exist in order for you to pay taxes. They don't pay taxes. There is some evidence that they are receiving, that some of them anyway, are receiving welfare, despite the fact that they are not supposed to, through a corrupt system. Again, very far left activists in the system are doing this. And so they are a strain on our economy. They are a strain on our tax system. They are a strain on our nation. They are collapsing our nation. We need to get rid of them. And the courts are very far left, so they are just going to side with the far left activists, and they are going to continue to try to cripple our nation. Because that's what leftists do. And that's actually the left wing's stated goal, is to cripple the nation, to destroy the nation. Leftists hate the United States. They tell us this. Believe them when they tell you this, because that's what their actions say too. They tell you this with their words. They tell you this with their actions. Anyway, we need to reject the court system's rulings, except for in cases where the evidence is overwhelming and the court decision is very clearly proper. Courts do not determine rights. Courts cannot override executive functions. And we need legislation. And we need to figure out a way to solve the corruption in the court system. That's about all. Thank you for watching. Peace.